Etepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Harun Nefer. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about ancient Black Egypt. No way. All right. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe bell to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $2, or $5, $20 per month. There's no obligation and you can cancel at any time. You will get exclusive access to instructional videos on the spiritual videos that will teach you how to meditate, how to create a magical amulet, how to communicate with the ancestors and your guardian angels. We also have my ebooks that are there. You can go there and download them for free. And one of the great things that we just recently did was we uploaded to Patreon 72 mantras or words of power that when you recite them can manifest the reality of your desire. So they're all there for you to take advantage of. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can start a revolution. So, Harun Nefer, namaste. So let's get right into the subject matter. You see, one of the things that we have neglected to do as a people is to take back our culture. You know, if you notice that we're readily support the Christian church or Muslims, mosques, and anything that's from Africa has been painted with such vitriol that we kind of like stay away from it. But in reality, we created wonders of the world. I mean, look at the pyramids. But no, those couldn't have been built by Black people. Even though those pyramids are in Africa, Northeast Africa, no, those pyramids were built by the Arabs there. They were built by white people. They were built by Asians, anybody but Black people. And unfortunately, we have not put up enough of a fight to say, hey, this is our culture. We built this. I mean, I give us credit. We do recognize the fact that they were built by Black people. But on the one hand, if we go around calling ourselves kings and queens and we built the pyramids, and on the other hand, support Christian churches, Muslim mosques, then all we're doing is just talk, is rhetoric. We got to actively practice our religion. We have to actively go out there and debate these people who are telling lies and putting out propaganda, you know? Because right now, it's so bad that in Egypt, the people there, whether they call themselves Mediterranean or Arabs, believe that they're descendants of the actual Egyptians who built the pyramids. And that's not true. We know that the Egyptians themselves, ancient Egyptians of antiquity, called themselves Kemetic people. Kem meaning Black. They named themselves. They identified as Black. Some will say, no, that means the black soil or soot from the Nile. And that's not true. That's not true. They knew who they were. And the fact is that if you do, like with Chekhov the Dia, noted Egyptologist, anthropologist, the man had a lot of different titles. When you trace the culture of the ancient Kemetic people, the ancient Egyptians, you don't find that culture in Europe. You can trace it back. You can trace it back to Central Africa, to Ethiopia. The language, the culture, the kingship, everything you can trace back to Africa. See, the The modern white Egyptologists want to tell you that the Egyptians migrated from Europe to Northeast Africa, and there they set up shop. Well, that makes no sense. There's no sense whatsoever that a people who are lily white would migrate from Europe all the way to Africa, where there's a very hot climate, build pyramids, and build a civilization. That makes no sense. And going back to when you look at pre-dynastic Egypt, again, we can see that Egypt owes its culture and everything about it to the people in Central Africa. Because we can trace that one-to-one correlation, the migration of the people. In fact, in the ancient Egyptian scriptures, Tehuti, Thoth, talks about coming from Central Africa to ancient Kemet. He doesn't talk about coming from Europe. So now what we have is we have these individuals, these Arabs, taking pride in the fact that they believe that they created the culture of Egypt and built the pyramids. And they are vicious if there's any mention of Black people creating the pyramids or Egypt being Black. They're vicious about it. And we need to be just as vicious, because I don't understand if you can go to the temples in Egypt, modern Egypt, and you can see the hieroglyphics, you can see that the people were of dark skin complexion. And then you turn around and you see the Egyptians being portrayed as lily white. That's not right. I mean, the evidence is there. The prognosticism, the way, the features that they have are all African features. They're not European features. You can see it even on the Great Sphinx. It's an African man, a Black African man. It's not a European. There are those white scholars who are coming forth on our behalf to tell the truth and say that ancient Egypt was Black and populated by Black people. And I'm so glad that there are those scholars out there who know the truth and are speaking out, even though there's a good likelihood they'll become ostracized from their academic counterparts. But that's the risk they're taking. And if they're doing that, then we need to step up and do the same thing by supporting that grand culture that built the pyramids. Because no other religion can testify as creating something so wondrous as the Great Pyramid of Giza. But I said enough. I want you to hear from, I found this video on TikTok, and I want you to hear from some of these white scholars and anthropologists what they have to say about who the ancient Egyptians were. So let's take a quick look, a quick dive into this, okay? Let me get the sound going. My apologies.
Did these structures Yes, that we know they were Black African people. Their remains are studied anthropologically, and they were the people inhabiting the region of the time. 3500 BC, the monsoon rains pattern moved further south. So Nabta Playa region became extreme desert and had to be abandoned. That's when the culture, the ancient Egyptian dynastic culture that shows many of the same elements pops up in the Nile Valley.
So you're suggesting maybe these people migrated north?
Yes, or their culture did, and them.
Yeah, when you visit Egypt, especially around Aswan in the southern part of the Nile, you see mostly Black people.
Yes, yeah, and we know from the anthropological evidence that the people just predating the dynastic civilization in the Nabta Playa region were Black African people.
I mean, it's a significant discovery, I would think, because amongst other things, these Black people had a very sophisticated understanding of astronomy. But you did point out that Egyptian guidebooks that were popular had some very racist descriptions about the attitude of Egyptians toward different racial groups.
Yes, you'll see even in current guidebooks, probably a kind of a hierarchical description of the views of the races. Yes,
and so many Egyptians today who probably think of themselves primarily as Mediterranean people, even though they're on the African continent, look down at the idea that a very powerful ancient culture might have emerged out of Black Africa.
Yeah, and it's clearly, obviously, a modern ethnic view or ethnic mindset that leads to that kind of thinking. Not any evidence from ancient history.
Do we know anything at all about the people who created these structures?
Yes, that we know they were Black African people. Their remains are studied anthropologically, and they were the people inhabiting the region of the time. 3500 BC, the monsoon rain.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you that because it's one thing when we're talking about it and we're spreading the word and writing books, but then it's another thing when you have white scholars coming to the forefront and talking about the truth. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing that the word is getting out. The truth is being told. But now, again, it's up to us to follow and practice in the footsteps of our ancestors. And if we don't do that, there's a good likelihood that others will come and claim our religion and our culture, call it cultural appropriation, what have you, and we'll be pushed out to the sidelines, a footnote in history. We don't want to do that. So I want you to really think about, it's not just rhetoric. It's not just talking about us being kings and queens, but it's actually about the application. Practice the spiritual tradition. Fight hard to reclaim your culture, your religion. Don't let anybody speak otherwise, because white supremacy on a global scale has done so much damage to the minds of the people. And we've got to repair that. If you like this video, please donate to the channel. This is Qesankh Ma'akeperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, Amen Ra.